You have to build the trust and have the confidence in your leadership, and then give them the guidance, the parameters, the goals, and then you can let them go and you can do your job.
Next question. How easy or difficult do you find it to delegate command and control?
It's really hard. Until you are totally overwhelmed. And guess what? In combat, you're going to be overwhelmed. I mean, you can't do it all. And so anything in life is like this. And so when as a platoon commander, I have got 2 junior officers who are my assistant platoon commanders, and they don't have the experience I have. It's their first deployment. And my job is to train those guys up. And yet, so I've got to give them responsibility and teach them how to be a platoon commander and empower them and train them and mentor them. I'm sure it was incredibly difficult. In fact, I know it was incredibly difficult for Jocko, who had a lot of experience, done a lot of direct action, capture, kill missions, in Iraq, to let me be a platoon commander to go out and plan and run that stuff. But you have to do that. And so you have to train people. We always talk about how leaders have to work themselves out of a job. That's what they should be doing. You have to do that so that you're training the people underneath you to grow and learn and take on greater responsibility so that you can constantly look up and out, and then you can grow and learn and take on greater responsibility.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit too, right? About delegation, in my case, the creative field, where if I'm going to have someone to take care of some stuff, it's hard to trust them to do it, even though it's just in your own head, because you're used to doing it this certain way. And you even see that person doing it different, even in that one way. You're like, oh, you get all, uneasy about it. But how you were talking about how you give them a certain type of mission, just like you focus on that result, and they know why they're doing it.
Here's what I want you to go out there and do.
Yeah.
Go out there and do it. And I can't really get concerned on how you go out there and do it, because, in Ramadi's a perfect example. Leif had his element that was going out, but there was multiple other elements that were going out in different parts of the city all the time. And so I couldn't get in the weeds on Leif's, and I couldn't get in the weeds on the other 4 or 5 element commanders that were going out at certain times. I mean, all at the same times often.
Yeah.
And so I had to absolutely let go of it and let these guys make it happen. Now, the reason I was able to do that was because we had built up trust. I had put those guys through the ringer. I had micromanaged them and just been a total, I don't know, how would you describe it? I mean, when we first started workup, I was really in the weeds with them. Like, hey,
you kept tight reins.
Yeah, tight reins out of the gate. So look, this is how you need to do it. I wasn't telling them what to do, but I kept pushing them. Okay, look what you did here. Think about this. Move in this direction a little bit. You can't do that right there. And it didn't take long where the guy's like, okay, they know what the expectations are. They learn, and now I don't have to worry about them. So now what can I worry about? Now I can start worrying about deconfliction. Now I can worry about what the strategy is. And, for bigger operations, obviously, when we were doing battalion-sized operations, obviously, I got to go out there and coordinate with the battalions and sometimes go out just to go out and see how these guys are operating. But I couldn't go out with 5 different guys, 5 different elements at the same time, or even 2 different elements at the same time. Mm-hmm. And so you have to build the trust and have the confidence in your leadership, and then give them the guidance, the parameters, the expectations, the goals. Make sure that's very clear, and then you can let them go and you can let them run, and you can do your job. And that's how we rolled.
And Jocko actually, I remember this well because I knew that he wanted to be out on the battlefield with us on every single operation. That's just where he would choose to be. And yet he saw his place as, listen, I've got to manage these other elements. And I remember a couple of times where I was like, Jocko, why don't you come on this op with us? Like, go on this sniper overwatch with us. And you were like, no, I can't do that. And even though I knew he wanted to do it, he knew he had to, whether it was approval of plans for the other guys that were across the city or other elements that were out there doing those things, that he understood what his role was and realized that if he was out there with me, even though it had been fun, he'd been getting gunfights, and that was exactly where he wanted to be, that he wouldn't be able to provide that support to some of the other guys and what they were doing. And so he couldn't do that. And so I know that was incredibly difficult for you.
And one of the reasons that Leif knows that is almost as soon as we got there, I said, hey, Leif, I'm going out in the field for a little while. You're going to be task unit commander. And I left him back and went out in the field.
So awesome.
And yeah, it was one of those things. And I'll tell you, that was actually one of the reasons why I did realize I couldn't go out as much as I would want to, because I had to maintain command and control. So like I said, if it was a big operation where there was multiple units involved, obviously I'd go out. Sometimes I would go out just to go out, because you have to, I always talk about this. You can't be so far back in the rear that you don't know what the guys are going through. So I got to just go out there just to go out, go over to Craig or go on some operations store, go out into the 1MC and go on, see what it's like up there. But the fact of the matter is, I had to be in the position to command and control, and I kind of learned that out of the gate when I left Leif back at camp. We had some significant operations happen, and he got he got caught in a firestorm, and I wasn't where I should have been, so I had to tighten myself up a little bit, had to be more judicious in the timing that I rolled out, because it is hard to delegate. It's hard to delegate, especially, not only do you want to do it, but there's an element of pushing your kid out of the nest for the first time, and you feel like, I want to be there. I want to make sure that this goes good, and not that I didn't trust these guys, and not that they weren't perfectly fine on their own. But no matter what, these are your bros, these are your buddies, and you want to be there to make sure to give them everything that you can. And so that's another little element of it that makes it hard. But you have no choice.